Hello everyone, Don here, back with another, not quite an update, but a video on some comments, to answer some comments and questions that I see a lot in my comment section. So I imagine a lot of people are kind of new to my channel and are constantly asking questions about things, especially this last video from just yesterday about these blocks. And there's a few people that thought, about these things could swing, which they would, but I'll go into that in a minute. So what I'm looking to do in this video is just kind of hit everybody with some commonly asked questions and answers, give you some answers on what I've done and what can be done and such. So I want to clear up some issues. One of the biggest questions I seem to get a lot is, do I need to get this thing re-inspected and recertified after doing all this work? And the shorter answer is no. When you build an experimental amateur built, EAB, that's what this is classified as, experimental amateur built on the amateur. When aircraft is certified, the FAA also has a form to apply for a mechanic certificate. And what the mechanic certificate does is allows the builder of the aircraft to perform all maintenance and logbook entries and sign-offs. Annual condition inspections can be signed off by the builder, because who knows the airplane better than the builder, other than a manufacturer if you bought a kit. But being that this is all plans built, there is no kit. Every one of them is individual, and nobody knows them better than the builder. So you apply for the mechanic certificate, which you shouldn't have a problem getting, and then once you get that certificate, when it comes due for any type of maintenance on the aircraft that would normally require an endorsement from a A&P mechanic or an IEA, can now be performed by me, the builder, or you, the builder. So the mechanic certificate, even without a mechanic certificate, a person who owns an experimental aircraft can perform any work on that airplane. Unless you're using a certified engine and prop combo, that may require A&P mechanic. But for most part, you can do anything you want to the airplane. You can change it however you want, and you can just write the changes in the logbooks yourself. But when it comes time for the annual inspection, which is called a condition inspection for experimental, you need, at the very least, an A&P mechanic to perform the inspection and sign off if you don't have the mechanic certificate. If you apply for and get the mechanic certificate, you can perform the annual condition inspection, not an annual inspection. Certified aircraft get annual inspections, and they have to be signed off by an IA mechanic, not an A&P. An IA is inspector authorization or something like that. They're the top of the tier. A&Ps can perform all the work, all the inspection stuff of an aircraft, but only an IA can sign off an annual inspection. These aren't annual inspections, they're condition inspections. So with a mechanic certificate, I do the inspections once a year myself and sign it off in the logbook. So no other FAA intervention whatsoever is required. The aircraft is now my responsibility. Now, if I was to sell this airplane to somebody else, and it comes time for the condition inspection, they have to get an A&P mechanic to perform the inspections. They cannot apply for the mechanic certificate because they didn't build the airplane. So they have to have an A&P do the condition inspection once a year. Or the second option is, if you're local, they can ask you, the builder, who holds the mechanic certificate. The certificate does not travel with the plane, it stays with the builder. But with that inspection, mechanic certificate, I cannot inspect any other airplane, just this plane. So if the new owner is someone from the field and buys it, then you can, if he asks you, you can perform the inspection and sign it off for them. So that's all you can do. All right, so that's that one. Then the next one gets into people asking about these blocks and the concern of the thing possibly moving, which it would. It'd act like, hinges on a door, but the whole thing would shift sideways. It'd just kind of move back and forth. These would just swing like a swinging door. But if you pay attention here, this bolt goes down into this block. This block, here's the original motor mount here, the top of the mount's here, and the bottom of the mount's here. That's the steel mount on the firewall. Now this bolt goes down through, and the nut's on the bottom, so this bolt is pulling this piece down towards this, but as you can see, there is a little gap in here because I made this intentionally big so it would fit. But down here, because this bolt's pulling down on here, it's pulling this whole block down, hard stop against this bottom here, and when it tightens down, this thing is clamped solid. It will not move. Plus these two top mounts are actually closer to the firewall, and they're hitting to where they only move. You see there's a little gap here, but there's none here because it's hitting solid on that firewall. But they barely moved 1/8 of an inch, so they can't go forward. They could if you left it loose and it worked, it would eventually, pound shit out. So the top two are like that, but they bolt again, they bolt straight down and jam up solid. So all four of those do that. So even tops and the bottoms, they jam tight in here. So this is all solid. It will not move. And then where these come in, this here, I had to do some sanding and filing on these to get them to fit onto these. And when this bolts down, this little tab probably gives a little bit, and it bolts solid against there. So both of these things are perfectly solid, all four of them. So they're not going anywhere. So and then the next big question is, because this engine is moving forward, is that going to throw off the weight and balance? And short answer is yes. The longer answer is it depends on, because I had took off so much material from this engine, it's lighter. But by moving the engine forward, it's going to add more nose weight, but by taking all the weight off the engine, it's going to subtract weight. So I'm hoping it comes out pretty close into a wash, if not slightly nose forward, because before, with full tank of gas or empty, if the tank went empty in flight with me at my weight in the airplane and the gear up and retracted, the CG was within about a 1/2 inch of the rear aft limit, which is you don't want to go behind that, because then you can't get the nose to drop and get the nose to fall and get air back over the wing to recover from stalls. So it was fine. But once, if the tank was empty and you were there and you drop the gear swings forward, it moves the CG 1.2 inches forward. So now you're 1 3/4 forward of the aft CG limit. So it was a perfect place. So by moving this forward with a full tank of fuel, me in it, and the gear down, it wasn't even close to the nose heavy condition yet. So I also mentioned, I showed last night, with this on here, just to clear it up in case people didn't understand what I'm saying. With this configuration right now, this is 3 inches forward from where it used to be. So I'll take this ruler for example. That's how far it is, back of that ruler. People asking also, is any of this stuff going to stick out? No. Before, the cowling was probably right here. So 3 inches, the only thing that's going to be close to sticking out cowling is this, and that's not in the way of the cowling, so it's not a problem. So now this is 1.5 inches. Once I take this off, well, get her back off of there. Now this is with the propeller on here. The propeller is now only 1.5 inches forward, so that 3 inches drops back down to 1.5 inches by removing that. So the prop comes on. So my datum point at the prop flange is moved 3 inches because I didn't count the spacer. My data point is not. It starts at the face of this flange and goes out 10 inches. So then without the prop and spinner on there, it's now at 8.5 inches. So I have to adjust my weight and balance numbers to reflect, from the face of the 10 inches from the flange. I'm not going to do, like 12.5 inches or 11.5 inches. To keep the math, it would be 3 inches. But to keep the math simple, I just like using 10 inches. It's easier to add 10 to these numbers than to add, 12.5 inches to it for the mathematics. But the datum point is still going to be 10 inches from the face of this flange. So I got to get new measurements from here to the center of this landing gear, center of that landing gear, and then the weight for the pilot and fuel tanks on there, I'll just adjust those from the change. So yes, the whole airplane, it's due for its condition inspection right now because it was done last June or July. So Once this is all done, I'll go through everything, I'll lift it back up, I'll recycle to swing the gear, and I will put the wings on it, take it outside, level it up, put it back on the scales, and redo the whole thing. And then we'll see what comes out. So yes, it does and will throw off the CG. And I'm hoping it's not going to throw it off much. If anything, it might add a little bit to the nose. Again, I'm moving this weight, but the oil tank now is going to be back here instead of under here, so it's going to kind of offset. And then the weight reduction for the whole system is going to offset the added weight out front. That spacer probably weighs a couple pounds, pound or two or more, and that's all going to be gone. The bolts are going to be shorter, way less. So hopefully in the long run, I won't have to touch anything. The exhaust system is going to be a little lighter than the old system. The muffler is pretty much the same. I'm not adding anything to it. Of course, the throttle body is way lighter than the original fuel injection. No fuel injectors, nothing. So the alternator turned out to be the same weight. Someone asked about that. There was nothing wrong with the old one. I was actually just trying to find a smaller, lighter one. And when I bought this one, it's basically the same size and same weight as the old one. So hopefully that kind of clears up some of people's questions. I just wanted to kind of address a few things so people, I don't have to answer the question 10 times in the chat, in the comment section, because like me, I don't go through the comment sections and read all the comments. But if some people watch this stuff and they just scroll down through the comments, you may see your own answer in there. And I've seen, there was at least 3 already today asking about these blocks moving. And then also Warble's on a lot from Australia. Shout out to him. He was concerned about these corners cracking, but the way this is bolted together, that bolt's going down into this big block, into this big block, so the mass of the work is here holding it, and this bolting down. There's really no load on this stuff that's going to squeeze and propagate any cracks in here. The stresses on this are way less, but if this block would have came down underneath and the bolt went down through farther and bolted down, then yeah, this block would have been swinging because it wouldn't have tightened down on anything in here. But the way it is, this is being driven right down here to this base and solid. So most of the load is being carried through the bolts here, and that bolt carries through everything. So I don't see a concern of those cracking, but they're easy to see, they're easy to check. I dropped my pointer, so I think that's going to about cover it for those basic questions. I just wanted to address that because it gets a little tiring trying to repeat yourself, and I swear most of the people that watch my videos will ask a question and the answer is in the video. It's like they're watching the video with the sound off because they're asking a question that has clearly been talked about in the video. So alright, I guess that's going to do her. I did get my boots today. As you can see, I got them on. So those are done. Ignition system is finished, other than checking the timing after it's running. So I did get a piece of hose, so I got to find a spring that'll fit in there, 1-inch spring, pretty long spring, so I can bend this and heat it and make a little 90 on it, kind of like this, so it'll hook to the other side. So alright, that's going to do her. I'm just going to go ahead and post this now, and hopefully this will clear up some of the confusion. But as to everybody that asks about stuff, this and that, if you're just watching the video because it popped up on a link, go to the channel. Click on the Dinodon64 name under the video, and it'll take you right to my channel, and you can see the last 10 years of this project. And you can start from the beginning and work your way all the way up through, and you'll know everything there is to know about this airplane. All right, everyone, I'm going to cut her off, and I will catch you guys again. Again, like I said, today I didn't have any time to work on this, so but I'll be back at her this weekend. So. Alright, as always, appreciate everyone taking time to watch these videos. Feel free to leave any comments, questions, concerns, and hopefully you listen to the videos and hear the answers so you don't have to ask the questions. Turn the volume up. Alright, and then there's other people that complain about, oh, you're just repeating stuff over and over and over again. Well, apparently I'm not repeating it enough because people are still asking questions. Alright, everyone, I will catch you again most likely Sunday night. So for now, this is Dinodon out.